it's getting to be that time where I wake up to go to the gym and it's cold and dark, and then I come back from the gym and it's still cold and dark like I am now. I just got back from the gym and it's around like 7 a.m., but it's still dark, which is kind of weird because earlier, like during summer and stuff, even though I know this happens every year, during summer, go to the gym and the sun even comes out around 6 a.m. sometimes. So, that was always nice watching the sunrise. But now it's more depressing, especially as winter comes and it's still going to be colder and colder every day. And just waking up in the darkness, coming back in the darkness. But the sun does come out for a little bit. And it definitely is going to be getting colder out here, especially in Pittsburgh. But I wanted to talk about the dark, and I know this is I'm very aware that this is an obscure topic and nothing really self-improvement related, but as someone who was afraid of the dark as a kid, I'm not afraid to admit that I had a nightlight in my room and I needed that in order to fall asleep, because the dark is kind of a scary thing. It allows scary things to happen, like robberies, and being on a university campus, we get safety emails whenever these bad things happen, like robberies or assault. And not that these things can't happen during the daytime, because they surely can, but it's just I think a lot of crimes just happen more during the nighttime, and just the night's kind of scary, especially as a kid. But now, we're used to it now. The night and the dark, I think I've grown to appreciate. There's a little bit of something that you don't get in the daytime with, late night talks, and, you can go get into some deep conversation while you're just sitting up at night till 1 or 2 in the morning in your car in the driveway with a friend or on the river. And I know I've had this a lot in high school when I had a good circle and a good group of friends, and we would just talk for hours, just have very long and deep conversations, but they would almost always exclusively happen during the nighttime and into the night, till 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. in someone's driveway in a car. And I think it's just something about the dark that gives people some sort of comfort, even though I mentioned earlier that the dark is scary, and I guess that's still true, but it also offers a veil, right? If you're talking to somebody and opening up to somebody, having a deep conversation, and you're almost inevitably going to be a little bit vulnerable with that person. So it's a lot harder to be vulnerable with somebody and face them, with the daylight hitting your face and you're just super exposed, because I guess it just makes you feel even more vulnerable than you are already opening up to somebody. So then just the darkness kind of allows that to happen a little bit more naturally, especially back in high school when, people weren't as comfortable with themselves, I guess. I think people had a lot of a harder time opening up as kids, and people even as adults, I guess, have a hard time opening up as well. But back then, we're all insecure, I guess. I was pretty insecure as a kid, but I was growing into myself throughout high school, I think, and I was able to even have those kinds of conversations with friends. So I think that was something that I appreciate about the darkness as well. And maybe you can take a learning lesson from this video, that if you're trying to make friends or trying to have deeper conversations with your friends, more insightful, more meaningful conversation aside from, how are you doing today? How's the weather today? What's work like? What's your classes like? If you're trying to get a little bit more under the surface than that, maybe I could recommend having a late night talk. I know we always talk about the early morning grind, getting up at 6 a.m. to go to the gym, but maybe on the weekend or something, that's always a great time, chilling out here on the balcony. I've had some good conversations into the late night that I just don't really have at, midday at the kitchen table. And I've talked about this too with my friends, that it's just why do all the deep and insightful conversations, for the most part, come out during the nighttime, or they happen at night. And I guess I was just thinking about that lately, and I guess it just the darkness offers some sort of protection. Like, you don't really have to show your face, because it's hard to associate yourself with these opinions, and maybe associate yourself with your feelings in general, especially to another person, because that's a very intimate experience. That, not intimate in a way that's like, has to be sexual or anything, but it's a very personal thing, right? And just talking about your feelings or what you're going through in life, your problems and stuff, it's harder to do in the daylight, I think, than maybe, say, if you had a mask on. And I guess that's why some people, or a lot of people on the internet, maybe feel comfortable just not showing their face and talking about their ideas or their problems or whatever like that. It's a little bit easier anonymously, like on something like Reddit, because they don't have to associate you to your words, which I don't think that's necessarily a good thing, because then that kind of just allows you to be like a talking floating head that just spews whatever. And I think that gives way to possible negativity. But if you're like associated with your ideas, then you kind of have to face this is like going outside the idea of just like talking about your feelings and stuff like that, but spreading like opinions and stuff like that as well. Whereas if you're attached to your opinions and ideologies and the stuff that you promote online, your personal figure is attached to that thing, I think that would maybe reduce the amount of bad and toxic things that are being promoted on the internet for the most part, because then you have to face the repercussions of whatever ideologies you're spreading. Anyways, that was kind of my little rant about the darkness, and I think there's some beauty to be appreciated in the dark, especially as somebody who grew up scared of the dark. There's definitely room to be appreciative of it, and I guess that's just the duality of everything. If you're just taking one approach and saying that the dark can only breed bad things, and there can only be bad things coming from darkness, there's still, and I'm not talking about it in like a religious sense or anything like that, but just, the nighttime and the lack of lights. I think that there's still something to be had there. So I think that's just going to be the video for today. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Remember to stay on target.